Now, Toyota has refreshed the Toyota Camry for 2025, and what a refresh this is. I think it looks like a completely different level of car when you look at this design. So what we're going to do in this video is have a look at this example right here in heavy metal gray, which is definitely the color I would choose. I think it looks great. And then I'm going to show you the beautiful interior as well. We have red leather with this gray exterior. This is by far the spec that I personally would choose. This is also the top of the line, fully loaded XSE. So what we're gonna do, have a look at the front end design, the side view with the beautiful 19-inch wheels, the rear end, and then the interior before, of course, we're gonna take this for a drive. First of all, let's check out what's under the hood of this 2025 Toyota Camry XSE all-wheel drive in this gorgeous heavy metal gray metallic paint. So we have a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. You also have 3 e-motors, hybrid setup, of course, 232 horsepower, 281 pound-feet of torque. It is connected to, yes, a CVT gearbox, but honestly, in this case, I do think it's fine. It doesn't really feel like one of those boring, high revving Vespa or scooter CVTs. This is actually not bad. 0 to 60 at about 6.8 seconds. And here's the good thing about this hybrid setup. The fuel economy is totally insane with this Camry. You get 44 city and 43 highway. And the price for this one comes out at $43,720. Now this one is also equipped with the $4,000 Premium Plus package, meaning that you do have extra safety features. You also have a 9-speaker JBL sound system, 10-inch head-up display. You have the panel roof there. In addition to that, we have the $425 premium paint, which is this heavy metal gray, in addition to the two-tone paint. You see that we do have the black roof up top, and that is a $500 option. In addition to, last but not least, something that really sets this apart are these 19-inch wheels. Those come out at $1,500 for that option. So let's close this back down and let's have a walk around at this entire design. Let's see what's new for 2025. Now, starting with the front end design, and this is Toyota's new design language that we have here, meaning that we do have this wing in the front end with the indicators sort of framing this wing. So what I'm talking about is this front section right here. You have the very thin LED for the indicators, looking super clean, full LED headlights. Let's turn those back on so I can show you exactly what they look like when they are on. They turn themselves off, obviously, when you have the vehicle off for a while. But here we have it, full LED headlights, no fog lights down low at the bottom, which is, again, it's totally fine for me to not have fog lights in this case. We have a fully functional grille at the lower section. This entire piece right here in the lower section is completely open. It looks pretty cool. It's starting to look almost too much, in my opinion, like a Lexus. So the Lexus design and the Toyota design are sort of morphing together now. And this has almost the spindle grille that we have seen in a bunch of Lexuses in the previous years. I like that these intakes are completely functional here as well. Toyota has this habit of putting a lot of gloss black plastic on the exterior. You can see that here, you can see that here as well. You also do that in the interior, something that I've never been really a fan of. We're gonna have a look at the interior in just a minute. Of course, you have the front mounted camera located right here off center. I wish it was just centered right here. Small little detail, but once you see it off center like this, it's sort of a little bit annoying. I just wanna have it centered right there. You also have the parking sensors integrated all over this bumper right here and in the middle across the front end. Now coming around to the side view, and this is what sets this specific XSE apart, is we have the beautiful 19-inch wheels. So I'm not sure how wide they are, so let's check that out. We have two 35s and 19s in the front. I do believe we have the same width for the rear end. Yes, we have two 35s or 19s in the rear as well. The design of these wheels, thankfully, what I'm glad to see here is that I feel like this trend of having, all black wheels on every single brand new model is slowly fading away, and we're getting back to these. This is exactly the color that I want to see for new wheels. This gunmetal shade, similar to what we have on the exterior design. You can see how aggressive this XSE is, also with the sport package that has these fins going across the lower section of the front end and also continues into the lower section of the side view. One line that I really like about the Camry is that we do have one single line that wraps around the entire car. You can see that right here. It starts from the very end underneath the taillight right there, then cuts in very sharply and really carves out a lot of volume in the lower section, making it feel very nimble and sporty design. This line right here, it looks beautiful, and one key line you can instantly recognize by just looking at the door that this is in fact a Camry. Now looking at top, this being the Premium Plus package, we do have the full panel roof up here, in addition to this $500 option to have the painted, the roof being painted black instead of body color. I'm not sure if I would go for that. It doesn't really make a difference to me. One small detail that I would change here is that we do have just a splash of chrome. This is the only chrome that you have on the entire side view, and it doesn't really make sense to me. I just want to have this be blacked out, but you can see that we do have the LED indicator right here integrated, in addition to the 360 camera and the black painted housing for the side cap right there. Overall, the line flow and the proportions of this, I'm glad to see that Toyota is still putting a lot of effort into making their sedans look beautiful, and I do think this is actually a very, very beautiful design. Very Toyota-like design for sure, because you see that we have a bunch of lines going across the entire car, almost over stylized, but for some reason Toyota and Lexus, they always have a bunch of lines in their cars, but it always seems to make it work. Another line that I love back here in the rear end, in addition to this very sharp shoulder line right here, is this line at the bottom. See how this carves out and creates a very dynamic and sporty looking rear end. This is a very aggressive line, this curvature here that we have in the bodywork of the metal, and I think it creates a very aggressive styling, but still pretty elegant design for this type of vehicle. Now in the back we have full LED taillights and full LED daytime run lights in the rear end as well, in addition to the brake lights here. You can see the indicators are also full LED, blacked out bar here in the middle, stretching across the entire width of the car with the Camry letters stamped out in black. I think it looks very, very nice. In addition to this top spoiler that we have up here, also being black, having some connection to what's going on up top on the roof, and also this black bar that we just talked about. The taillight design look pretty nice. We have the reverse light right next to the indicators right here, and a sort of dynamic design for the taillight itself, because it goes from a little bit thicker here into a thin piece before it vanishes into the middle section right there. Pretty nice looking design. In addition to the rear mounted camera located right there, you have the all-wheel drive hybrid setup badge and the XSE, which is the trim level. I would want to have those be 100% blacked out, because everything else in the back is black, as you can see. We have dual pipes on that side. Unfortunately, you can't rev this when you have it in park. It just won't allow you to do it. So instead, when you're pressing the gas and you have it in park, it just goes into a little bit of a rev and then goes back into EV mode instantly. So you can't really press the gas and listen to what this exhaust sounds like. I do like the more aggressive diffuser that we have also here in the lower section. So with that said, let's open this up and let's check out the trunk space. Decent amount of storage back here, to be honest, and I like that it is a proper sedan shape, meaning that it's not the entire hatch opening up. This is a proper sedan right here. You don't really have any sort of connections back here or even a light. I would like to see an LED in here because it is pretty dark, but the storage space is very big, and you can also fold down the rear seats if you want to get more space. Underneath here, we do have a spare tire, as you can see. So with that said, let's close this back down. This is not power assisted, which is again totally fine for me. I don't really need that on a car like this, or pretty much any car. So with that said, we talked about the exterior. Let me know what you think about this. Are you a fan of the new styling for the Toyota Camry? Personally, I think it's a huge, massive upgrade from the previous generation Camry. This looks like a much more upscale car in my opinion. And with that said, let's jump in and have a look at the stunning red interior that we have for this specific 2025 Camry XSE. Now, the first thing you notice when you open this specific one is just how beautiful it looks with the black and the red interior. It's a stunning looking design. The seats here are heated and ventilated. Proper bolstering here on the sides, and I do like the design overall for these seats. They really hold you in place when you're going in corners. They're also power assisted. As I said, you do have the 10-speaker JBL sound system with the Premium Plus package, and we have some more red coming back here in the door panel, looking absolutely beautiful. I love that this is not chrome. Instead, it's sort of this matte silver in addition to all these buttons here for, of course, the mirror controls right here, and you have the window controls as well. No cup holder. I guess you could call this, sort of this angled piece right here, a cup holder, but very thin storage down here at the bottom of the door. So with that said, let's jump in here and let's fire this up. Now let's check out this brand new interior for 2025 of the new Camry. We do have the start button right there, and as you can see, in this case, we do have dual screens. Totally fine for me, because you know what I'm gonna say here, right? This is still a 12.3-inch gauge cluster, but it doesn't sit like a TV up there or like an iPad. It's instead, we have a beautiful soft touch material up here that creates the housing for the entire dash, and I love to see this. This is a beautiful looking interior in my opinion. I also think that the infotainment screen here, this is all I'm asking for when I talk about integrations of infotainment screens, because what I mean is this, look at this, it does have this flow into it. So we have a nice framing, and it feels like it just flows naturally into this shape of this 12.3-inch gauge cluster. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this gloss plastic that Toyota have been putting into their interiors for a very long time now, but I can look past that in this case, because they made a huge effort into making it look nice and flow beautifully into a big screen like this. So starting with the infotainment screen here, you have a wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in this case. Typical Toyota native system. The map looked pretty good as well. It doesn't look the best, and that is the reason why you probably want to have your phone connected to it, and it's a very simple layout for the controls in here. Going into settings, you have the standard Toyota settings, as I'm sure you've all seen before. Nothing crazy. You have the personal settings. You just set this up one time, and that's pretty much it. Going into vehicle here, we can go into climate settings. You do have the climate controls here, some of them at least. And you can go into options. Let's see what this is. Eco, heat, and cool. I'm not sure what that is specifically. Going back to comfort, we have the heated steering wheel also inside of the software, but the good news is that we have physical buttons for all of these functions down in the bottom here as well. Volume knob on the left side, and moving further down, this is beautiful. This is absolutely stunning, because we do have the controls for the temp right here, up and down. I would like that to be a toggle instead of buttons like this. All I care about is that we do in fact have the physical control panel right here for the climate settings. Heated seats in 3 different levels, and also cooled seats in 3 different levels for both the passenger and the driver, which is fantastic to see in this price range. You have the up and down for the temp, up and down for the fan speed, and 2 different levels for the heated steering wheel right here as well, which is pretty cool to see. And this is the button to figure out where you want the air to blow out from, of course. Couple of vents down here, beautifully integrated, nothing crazy going on here, super easy to figure out how to adjust the vents in addition to the hazard button on the left side. Further down, we do have 2 USB-Cs in addition to 1 single USB. I like that companies still use these regular old USBs, because I personally still have a lot of electronics that still only comes with the charging cable that has this one, and I don't necessarily always want to buy an adapter for it, so that's cool to see. Wireless charging pad right here, rubberized. You also have this ridge on the side, so the phone is not going to slide anywhere. And again, this is one of these charging pads that actually charges my phone, even if I have a case on it with 3 different cards in the case itself. It still manages to charge my phone. A little bit more storage here, rubberized lower section or floor for this storage piece. You have 2 cup holders here, and this is what the key looks like. I like that we have the Camry on the back side here, looking pretty nice, in addition to these normal buttons here, lock, unlock, and hold to open the trunk, in addition to the panic button. Then you have the beautiful Toyota logo down there at the bottom. Gear selector is typical Toyota as well. Nothing crazy going on here. Very easy to figure this out. You just press this button right here on the front end to move it around, and you can see that we do have a pretty clear high-resolution backup camera in addition to the 360 view, and this is great to see in this price range. I love to see that. It feels like a much more upscale car, as I said, compared to the previous generation Toyota. You have some different trajectory lines here that you can switch between. I'd like to keep it in just the regular ones right there. If we go into settings, you have all these camera settings here that you can figure out what it is you want to adjust. All the way down here, we have a couple of sport modes. We have a couple of drive modes, I mean. You have eco, normal, sport and auto hold EV mode. If you want to go into full EV mode, you can do that. Parking brake located right there. Pretty standard stuff. Going into sport, you can see that we switches up the gauge cluster and gives you some different graphics here. I like to always keep it in normal because the car I feel like the car is figuring out by itself the best mode to be in when it comes to EV, switching to turning on the combustion engine and so on. When you have it in normal, it just works better that way. Less thinking for me. Looking at the armrest here, very soft. You can see just how cushy this armrest is. I do like that we have the red stitching here as well. So open this up, you can see that we have plenty of storage for this size of vehicle here, in addition to a cigarette outlet in the middle. Now, we talked about the seats already. Beautiful looking seats. It would be cool to maybe see Camry or Toyota inside of the seats here somewhere, or maybe on maybe not the headrest, but in this area on the backrest. But as I said, proper bolstering on this in these seats, in addition to heated and ventilated. So beautifully done there, Toyota. Nicely done. Looking at the steering wheel, and again, I've said this before, but I don't understand why we have paddles for a CVT gearbox, but we do have that here. You can see the design of these paddles too. They're very large, huge paddles. They stick out all the way here, and very wide design, but they're super comfortable to use, but something that I would never use for a vehicle like this. To me, it just does not make sense. Looking at the infotainment screen here, you can customize it. Hold this button right here to change the settings in the middle, for example, and you can have whatever you want in the middle. Driving support settings, messages. Going into the right side, you can also switch out what you want to see on the right side there, in addition to, of course, the center portion of the left gauge. You can also see what you want to have visible there, what type of information. Very straightforward. The steering wheel looks nice. You have the driver monitoring system here. So if you drive your car like this, one annoying thing is that it's always going to pop up on the gauge cluster when you have your hand like this, that the driver monitor system is failing and you can't read your face, which is pretty annoying. I would just like to turn this off if I could. I'm not sure if I can. On the right side here, we do, in this case, for this XSC, this is equipped with the adaptive cruise control, which also keeps you in the lane. Something that we're going to try out later on when we take this on the highway, and something that I'm still not really trusting these systems. So I don't want to let it go completely. Of course, you need to hold your hand on the steering wheel, but it still feels pretty weird to just have your car drive for you. But I do guess once you get used to it and once you trust it, it's going to make for a much more relaxing drive. Look at the integration of this vent here. And this is what I'm talking about when I say I want to see interior designer put in a lot more effort into making things feel nice and look nice. You can see the styling pieces that we have going on here. It just looks beautiful, in addition to this silver trim piece, and then you have the red leather down here. Here you have the automatic high beams, traction control on and off, camera view, and pop in the trunk and the gas cap as well. Pretty standard stuff. And looking up top, this being, of course, the panoramic sunroof, we can open this all the way back up. We can also open the window itself, or the roof up top itself, and get some air in here. I'm gonna keep it closed for now, but it's cool to see that we have a full panoramic sunroof in here that goes all the way back to the passenger side. Last but not least, for the front end of the interior, we do have, of course, a proper, actually it's a pretty small size for the glove box in this case, but beautiful interior. Let me know what you think about this interior. Are you a fan of Toyota's current interior? Personally, I am, because I have everything I want to see in a 2025 model year here. Housing for the gauge cluster, beautiful integration of the infotainment screen, and this control panel with physical knobs and dials for the climate control settings. So to me, this is a 9 out of 10. The only thing that would make it better is if we just ditch this gloss black trim that we have going on all across Toyota interiors. So with that said, let's see if I can fit behind my own driving position, being 6'1", 6'2", in the back seat. So the back seat is also beautiful with this red leather going on here. We have the red leather coming back in the door panel, in addition to this satin gray door handle. Bit of a cup holder down there, very, very small cup holder. Speaker integrated here as well. So let's jump in. It looks like I'm gonna have plenty of room back here, and as you can see, no problems at all with the leg space. I can be extremely comfortable, even lean back a little bit like this. No problems with the head space either. The roof, even though we do have this sporty roof design, I still have plenty of leg room, headroom in here, in addition to a bit of a handle down there. We have a couple of USBs down here, one regular USB and a USB-C, in addition to some regular looking old vents. So let's see if we do have cup holders in the center portion of the armrest. Yes, we do, wrapped in this beautiful red leather again. All right, guys, let's take the 2025 Toyota Camry XSE for a drive. Cost about $43,700. I do think it's a pretty good deal for what you're getting. I mean, Toyota and Mazda, I think Honda as well, they always had this pretty good value. I mean, specifically Mazda, I think, has the best value when it comes to features that you're getting in your car, and also the exterior interior design. I still think Mazda is a little bit ahead of Toyota and Honda when it comes to that. But this upgrade that we have for 2025, I'm a huge fan. I mean, we talked about the exterior design, just how much more premium it feels compared to the previous generation Camry. This feels like a different class when it comes to the exterior and the interior design. And it's very comfortable. We're going over this gravel road right here. Very comfortable ride. We have it in normal right now. We're gonna put it into sport later on and see if that switches things up a little bit. 232 horsepower is not going to be a crazy, amount of power and acceleration. 0 to 60 in about 6.8 seconds, which is not bad at all. And then we have this CVT gearbox that, in this case, I'm not sure what it is that's different with this CVT gearbox, but I really don't mind it here. It doesn't feel like I'm riding my scooter that I had back in high school or something like that. You just floor it, you just turn on the gas and it just keeps revving. It never switches gear. You can't really notice that in this specific CVT, which I appreciate. So going over these bumps here and stepping on it a little bit, super smooth ride. And specifically when you have with the XSE trim, I'm not sure if you need all of these features and comforts that we have here, heated and ventilated seats. Personally, I don't think I would. I don't think I need all of that. But if you want all of that, you can get it for $43,700. And this one, of course, is equipped with a couple of more things: the Premium Plus package, JBL sound system, the black roof, $500 option. That is definitely something that I would not go for. I would want to keep the roof be silver or this heavy metal gray silver. I think that would just look better overall. But I do like all the other sporty attributes that we have here. The $1,500 19-inch wheels is probably something that I would consider getting for this Camry. I think it switches up the entire stance and the look of the exterior design. It just looks better. If I were not going with those, I would still probably switch out the wheels anyway to some aftermarket wheels. Maybe put a staggered setup because I want to have the rear wheel poke out a little bit more than the front end design. But overall, I mean, the ride quality here, we can put it into sport here. Well, let's go into manual and let's see what this, switching gears. So I'm supposedly in third gear now with the CVT gearbox, which is always so fun to, try to figure out how this gearbox works. Stepping on it. So I'm switching into fourth gear, and it doesn't really do anything. It's just a number on the screen, and that is what makes it so strange to have the paddles with a CVT gearbox. So let's come to a complete stop here. And we're still in manual. There's no one behind us here, so it's clear roads. And let's floor it. 2, 3. You can hear that nothing happens when you're switching gears. So why do we have the paddles in this car? They just don't do anything. It's just for having some fun, clicking paddles, I guess. Such a weird feature for CVT gearboxes. This is a car that I would always keep in automatic because it doesn't do anything. Acceleration is fine. I mean, I'm not complaining about the acceleration at all. 232 horsepower feels like, it's not the most fun car to drive because the steering feels rather numb to me. You don't really get a lot of feedback from the steering wheel. But it's not a sports car. It's not a GR Corolla, this thing. So I get why they sort of dialed it down a little bit, because I think this is more of a car for people who just want a sedan, a nice looking sedan with nice feature, beautiful design, exterior, interior, and just take them from point A to point B. Then they don't necessarily want a sporty car. One reason, again, that I probably would not pay $4,000 for the premium plus package. Yes, we do get the better sound system, which is cool. We also get a 10-inch head-up display. And I've never been a fan of head-up displays. They just, you know, for me, they don't really make sense. I have all the information in the gauge cluster. I can just look down really quick to get the same information I have there. And this is just always there in the way. So I always turn off the head-up displays after a while. I just want to see what they look like, the resolution and so on. But then once I've seen that, I never really use the head-up display, and that is also part of the $4,000 Premium Plus package. All right, so let's go back into normal here, and we're going onto the highway. I do have a little bit of traffic in front of me, but yeah, acceleration is fine. We're going 50 right now. Put it back into normal. The really good thing about this drivetrain is, of course, going to be the range that you have. You have way over 400 miles on a full tank, and you get 44. I think it was 44 highway, and you still have 43 mpgs in the city, and that is thanks to these electric motors that help out when you're going, you know, stop and go traffic. It gets better fuel economy in the city than it does on the highway, which is pretty crazy, but that's how hybrids work, of course. Now, cruising along here on the highway, going 65, something like that. Super comfortable ride. It's a little bit noisy in here, but I wouldn't expect it to be extremely quiet with dual pane glass or something like that. It's still a very comfortable ride, and a car that I would not mind driving cross country at all. Now, putting it into this adaptive cruise control, just press that button, and now we're cruising at 62 miles per hour here. We can actually go up a little bit higher, maybe. Let's go up to 68, sounds good to me. So now the car totally drives itself. You have all the information in the head-up display as well when in relation to the adaptive cruise control settings. You also have the same information again down there in the gauge cluster. Not sure if it can actually switch lanes for you though. So we're gonna try that out here in just a minute once this Subaru passes me. Let's see if it can switch lanes. Okay, so I don't think it switched lane for me there. I think it was just a curvature in the road, and I went straight into this lane. So I don't think it's automatically switching lanes for me. I'm gonna try that again up here once we pass this Chevy Equinox. All right, so we're in adaptive cruise control here. I'm gonna turn the indicator on. It is switching lanes. Will it? No, I think it just cancels the adaptive cruise control and just switches lanes for you, and that's it. Then you need to take control once you're inside of the lane, which is pretty weird. I want to try that again, just when we don't have a curve going. So let's turn the indicator on. No, okay, so it does not switch lanes for you. It just it deactivates the adaptive cruise control when you turn the indicator on. So we figured that one out. Great job. So overall, I think this is a great car for what you're paying. Again, Mazda, Honda, Toyota are in this specific segment where you get a lot of features and a lot of value for what you're paying for the car. And I think this is a great example of that. Beautiful exterior styling, beautiful interior styling, comfortable on the highway, fantastic fuel economy, great price as well. So it ticks a lot of boxes. The only thing that I would like to see here is maybe not the CVT gearbox. I would want to have a proper gearbox in this car, but that's pretty much the only change that I would like to see for this 2025 Camry. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.